We're live. I don't have video on, so that's good because I haven't.
Right.
So
is it
right.
episode? Right.
You're good.
You don't have the video because you have a girl.
'Cause I have a girl.
Episode 101. It still says on here.
Oh yeah, that's
There's no
right.
102.
I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna change it right now.
You gonna change it? You gonna change it up?
I'm gonna change
Awesome.
it. You can just text her from your phone, but I figured, yeah, that's why. Like, that's sad.
It's sad.
Apparently her dog's like sick and she was been gone this whole time. They took it to the vet
Awesome.
without telling her. So you can just text her from your phone, but I figured, yeah, that's why too. Like, that's sad. Done.
It's sad. We dancing this
apparently her dog's like sick. Let me know if it's actually I can check if it's changed. I don't have to ask you. Yep, we're good. Sorry about that. Sorry. Dan? Guys? Hello? Wow, that was weird. It froze again.
Hello.
Guys.
Okay, we're back. Hi, Dan.
Right, cool.
Hi. Yeah, Chris, you just froze there for a second, but all right.
That's
good.
weird.
Everything's good. Is my computer freezing? No, it's
No,
not.
Okay, I keep
frozen
losing you
again.
guys.
Okay, that's a little bizarre.
That is a little bizarre. You also sound like Dan sounds really good, but you sound really different this week.
I do.
You do. You sound lower quality than usual.
Lower quality, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not dropping frames, so I mean, I don't really know. Hang on, maybe
I don't either.
Maybe it's the audio settings. Yeah, let's do this. That any better?
Keep talking.
Hello, I'm talking. I'm Dean, and I'm talking because I'm Dean.
Sounds about the same.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
that doesn't sound
it's
too much
just a
different.
shitty connection. I don't know what to tell you.
All right. Well, good evening and welcome to the Stone Age Gamer podcast for the week of June 3rd, 2016. I am Chris Randazzo and I am your host. With me tonight are Stanley Cup winner Dan Ryan.
I did. Son of a bee sting. Good for me.
And crusher of buildings, Dean DeFalco.
Actually, they call me Big Booty Daddy.
We're to local multiplayer games tonight because someone asked us to. Was Dan at his best in 64 bits? Find out now.
Well,
You as a 64-bit wrestler.
man,
I didn't catch any of
I'm
that.
getting all kinds of choppiness from you, Chris.
Well, that's exciting. I'm hardlined too.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. If it was just
I don't
me, I
either.
would assume that it would be my shitty connection, but
No, I got none of that.
okay.
All right.
Okay.
Let's see. Well, it's not going to be very easy to do a podcast if you can't understand what I'm saying. So, why don't we start the call over again?
Okay.
Okay. All right, guys. I'm gonna end Skype for a second here. I'm gonna bring this down. Don't worry about me, guys. You don't worry a damn second here. I'm gonna fix it all. Cause if my name's not Dean the Vest Lord DeFalco, I don't know what it is. It's probably that. I think it's that. Just might be. You guys are gonna see my friends list. Because I said so. Because I'm Dan Ryan. I'm not Dan Ryan. He's Dan Ryan. Is that Dan Ryan? Dan Ryan, are you there?
I am here.
Yay! Let's get Chris
Chris is-
here. Red
Is he
Rover,
here?
Red Rover, have Chris come over.
Hello,
Red Rover, have Chris come over.
I am here.
Yay! Everyone
Yay.
is here.
Everyone's here.
Oh,
Right.
now you sound terrible, Chris.
Why? Thank you.
I think it was his webcam when he first started it up.
Oh, okay.
I think he's
Am
good.
I okay
He should-
now?
Yeah, he should be okay.
All right. Well, if I disappear again, you let me know.
Okay, I will.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to episode 102 of the Stone Age Gamer podcast, where we've been called Better Than an Abacus. At the request
Yes,
of one
sir.
of our listeners, it's true, we have been called Better Than an Abacus. I don't know what that means, but
I don't know either, but I don't disagree. Sorry, I stepped on your intro. I
that's
apologize.
okay. It was worth it. I felt that this conversation was well worth it.
I step on his nads sometimes, so.
Oh.
Just particularly
Accidentally.
impressive considering how far away we live from one another.
Mm-hmm.
I got big feet.
It's very big feet. And you know what they say about people with big feet?
Are we
Big
gonna read
shoes.
comics? Oh, it's the wrong show.
At the request of one of our listeners, since we had to move our planned interview back a month or so, we're going to be talking about some of our favorite local multiplayer games. But before we get too much deeper into things, here's your weekly reminder that you can get in touch with us at mail@geekade.com and let us know what you think of our show, what topics you would like us to discuss in the future, or just say hello, because we always want to hear from you, the listener. And if you're tuning into our live broadcast here on the Geekade Twitch channel, you can ask us questions right now, and we'll answer them just as soon as there's a break in the conversation. Anywho's, back to business. Like I said, we had some listener mail. So, Dan, why don't you read said listener mail?
You know, if you would have said that a second ago, I would have had it pulled up. Hold on. Hold, please.
Hold, please.
Do, 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 do. I'm just going to keep doing Girl from Ipanema. Do, do, do.
Get no complaints here.
Do, 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 do.
It's a pretty jazzy
Right,
version.
so- Yeah, you know, I'm scatting. Ew. So Meat Soaker and Wolsor write, "Hey guys, we figured we would finally email you after listening to the last episode. We've been following the show for about 2 years now, and it was great having to look back at all the best of the first 100 episodes. Some of our favorite episodes that we speak of often made the cut. We too have no weight and or biscuit restrictions. We hope to get a message off sooner to highlight some of these moments, but it seems you handled it for us. Instead, we will leave you with an idea for an episode that we think would be fun and do not recall being covered before. We regularly play multiplayer games together, and we're curious what your favorite local multiplayer games are. Maybe some co-op, competitive, or party games. It is always great to hear about some new games for us to try out. For instance, Excitebots from a recent episode has been a ton of fun. We hope to hear your take on this down the road and look forward to your panel at Too Many Games. We know it will be worth the trip."
Thanks, guys. First off, I'm super glad. Well, actually, no. First off, Dan, thank you for reading that.
You're welcome.
I could have read it better.
I doubt
A
it.
lot more stutters and pauses.
Also, I typed the name wrong. I believe it was Meat Soaker and Wellosor, not Wolsor.
You're
Wellosor.
correct. Wellosor.
Yeah,
I apologize.
I typed it. No, that was me. I typed it wrong. It was all
I
me.
apologize for you
Oh, thank you.
somehow.
You stupid bastard. I
So I don't
apologize
have
for you.
to. Thank
I was
you.
in one of my things. I was doing
I
a thing.
understand. Well, I'm glad that you guys are enjoying Excitebox because everyone should play that game. It's freaking fantastic. And so we're gonna do what you requested. We're gonna talk about a few games, take a break, talk about a few more, call it a night. And I'm gonna get us started because I picked a crap ton of games because I just kept thinking of new ones to talk about. You talked about the local multiplayer games, and the first thing that came to my mind was Contra for NES. So, I mean, clearly, no, this isn't exactly a hidden gem.
It's a rare game.
Very
One of those-
uncommon.
Yeah, just nobody's played it, I don't think.
Don't
Yeah,
think so.
it's like a hidden species of game, in fact.
Now, I am talking about Contra. Super C was also good. Contra 3 The Alien Wars was fantastic. But whenever I think of playing multiplayer, like I played the Alien Wars with my sister a decent amount, but like I remember playing the first Contra with friends a lot. And mastering that game without the use of the Konami code was like, it made me feel like a champ, because once you really know the game, it's really not that hard. It's just a matter of just knowing where everything's going to be. It all just kind of follows a relatively straightforward pattern. The controls are really tight, but you just have to know it extremely well in order to do it without that code. But I remember being able to impress my friends with my ability to beat Contra without using the Konami code, and I was always damn proud of that. How about you guys? Any fond memories of Contra?
Yeah, it's fucking hard, and it made me want to pull my hair out. But yeah, it's a great game to play with people, man. That's pretty far up there. And I mean, co-op games. I'm actually surprised I didn't think of that, but I'm happy I didn't, because you're listen. I'm gonna be real here for a second. You're a retro guy. If there's anything that needs to be covered retro wise, it's gonna be you that's covering it. So yeah, I mean, Contra has so many awesome things. It did so many things great, especially in that generation of consoles.
The music is so good.
Yeah, and I mean the Konami code is pretty synonymous with that game. So yeah, there's just a lot of things that it did right, and there's not really much more to say about that from me. But I'm sure Dan has some things to say about it.
Oh yeah, I happen to be of the age where Contra was huge around the neighborhood and whatnot, and I too was very, very proud of the accomplishment of being able to beat Contra without the Konami code, the 30-man lives code. But I do have very, very fond memories of playing that game with friends. I had some friends up in North Jersey. Whenever I would go to visit relatives, I would always end up over at my buddy's house, and he had a Nintendo before I did, and we would sit and play Contra, and he was actually the person who introduced me to the Konami code. Just it was mind-blowing at the time, because it was like, what, this gives you 30 lives? This totally fucking fucks up my whole rotation of lives or levels. Like, because kids listening to the show, you might be a little too young for this, but for us old heads in the crowd, lives or levels was the way you used to play games with your friends that weren't necessarily co-op games. Of like, you either play through the level and then you switch the controller, or you play until you lose a life. With 30 lives and local co-op on it, it was like, we don't have to worry about this. We can just jam on this game until we are fighting the alien xenomorphs for some reason, because Konami just ripped that off. But whatever, it was cool. Contra's such a badass game, man. It's so simple. The fucking spread gun for the win over everything else. Machine gun, I understand. Totally, it's all about the spread gun, not that stupid laser thing.
Was terrible in the first game. So was the laser. By the time Contra 3 came around, that was my favorite flamethrower, because that was just like a wall of flame that you would shoot out and point in any direction you wanted. And it also had the homing missiles, which were, as soon as they introduced the homing missiles, that became my weapon of choice. Like, I still loved the spread gun, but I mean, the homing missile was just it was almost like cheating. Well, it really was. Introduced the homing missiles. They showed up in Operation C for Game Boy first, but they were done better in Alien Wars.
Yeah, I don't know that Contra gets enough credit for the variety of gameplay that it featured as well. I mean, we're talking an early NES game that had vertical, horizontal, pseudo 3D, like a crazy amount of variety in this relatively simple game.
Yeah, I feel you there, man. I mean, I remember getting past the first level, and you get to that part where you start running forward, and it's like, what the fuck? My world just got flipped upside down, man.
This was like, Konami did that stuff back then. Like, think of Goonies 2. You had those first-person segments, and you also had the side-scrolling stuff. Or think of was that Stinger? Was a scrolling shooter a la Gradius, except in the second level was a vertical scrolling shooter. So it was like, Konami was just on the ball back then. But speaking of Konami, I'm gonna do, since I picked 9 games and you guys picked 3, I'm just gonna blow through 3 at a time, and then we'll take turns. So speaking of Konami, I'll segue right into another one of my all-time favorite games to play local multiplayer is Blades of Steel.
The Will Ferrell movie?
Yes.
No, not Blades of Glory.
Oh, whoops, sorry, Blades of Glory.
Blades of Steel, or Blades of Steel. God damn, I love that game. Like, a lot of
fans.
Pistis fans. The goalie was just like all angry and smacking his stick on the ground whenever somebody scored, and man, Blades of Steel is so freaking good. It was such a fun game. It was like ice hockey for NES is a good time, and I know there's some people that swear by that one, but I go Blades of Steel all the way. I mean, like the sprites were bigger. I mean, yes, you didn't get the shoes between fat and skinny people, but the fights were so good in Blades of Steel. You just ram into each other and make that weird rubber bouncy noise for some reason. And then the game goes, fight! And it just basically goes into like a giant sprite 2D fighting game where you're just beating the crap out of one another.
That's what all hockey games need to be, okay?
And it was
pretty amazing.
Watch the ref like drag the loser of the fight off the ice. It just comes out and just pulls you, just drags you straight off. But
Calling
and
you
you know
a
the
pathetic
halftime show
piece
and
of
whatnot.
shit the whole time. Get off the ice, you bastard.
Love it, love it, love it. I had so many epic matches of this game back in the day. I loved Blades of Steel so much.
Well, and it was fun because, like, especially with modern. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit more about hockey here in a little bit. But like with the newer, with current gen hockey games, there is so much that you have to do as the player to effectively play that game. I mean, there's so much movement with the stick and different types of passes and shots and all types of craziness. And Blades of Steel was just simple. It was just simple hockey. Same thing like ice hockey, like you said. You know, just a very simplistic take on the gameplay that just made it a fucking blast, man. Like, Blades of Steel is a good time.
Yeah, it's really. I used to love sports games, and it's so weird to say now when you think about like I don't care for modern sports games in the least, but man, I used to play the shit out of some Tecmo Bowl, Tecmo Baseball, Bases Loaded, Blades of Steel, ice hockey, arch rivals, double dribble. Like sports games used to be really really fun because they made them really like gamey. You know, they weren't super realistic simulations. Like the best you had was like stat tracking and shit in Baseball Stars. Like it was still a game. You know, it was still a very 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 much a gamey game. And I really loved old sports games. And Blades of Steel was probably my favorite one to play multiplayer because it was just too damn fun.
That's the problem nowadays. The sports games take themselves way too seriously, and I feel the developers don't want to really take a chance on doing something different because it could mean losing really, really big, which is understandable because their player base are the people that want to do the franchise modes and stuff and get into the seasons and really like dig into a lot of the stats and whatnot, trade players around and everything. I guess that's what they find fun. But I mean, what we find fun is a lot different, and I feel like for gamers, there is a market out there that could find these games, for lack of a better term, marketable once again.
Well, I mean, just recently we had a success like NBA Jam, and I'm so shocked that it didn't really get followed up on. Like all the whole Blitz series and everything. I mean, yeah, Midway went under, but why isn't anyone making dumb sports games like that? And they don't even need to be all that over the top like NBA Jam or the Blitz series. You know, they could just look like Sims, but not be straight up simulations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like every time they've tried to do something fun and arcadey, like I remember when Electronic Arts was trying really hard to figure out what they were doing with Madden Football on Wii, because they were like, all right, we have this humongous audience and we have one of the biggest names in gaming. How do we make this work for this platform? And they wound up coming up with some really fun and good versions of Madden. But the trouble that they had there, the dumb thing that they did was the more gamey they got with it, the more fun it was to play, the more they changed the graphics to look more cartoony. And like at a certain point, they released this Madden game on the Wii that was really fun to play, but the visuals looked like a cartoon. And nobody wanted to buy that. Like anybody who was serious into playing a football game didn't want to buy that. And it was this great happy medium where it had a lot of the modern stat tracking and franchise mode, but it had this more simplified version of the gameplay that you could go into that was kind of the default that played more like a fun football game. And it was really just sad to see that continue to not sell year after year. And which is why I don't really blame Electronic Arts for being in the position that they are in with Nintendo. They're like, yeah, Nintendo is great. We have no idea how to sell our games on their system. Cause
they just don't sell.
And that's the thing where I give them a lot of credit is they tried. They put a lot of effort into trying to make their games work for the Wii. And then, come time for the Wii U, they really had just been like, all right, look, we're going to dip our toes in the water by giving you a bunch of our ports. And if they don't move at all, then we're just jumping ship. And I blame them and I don't blame them at the same time, but definitely for their experience on the Wii, I can't hold that against EA, but we're segueing way far away here. I'll do another one real quick. This is going all the way back. The first multiplayer game that I ever played and the most fun, a definite go-to. When I find somebody else who's good at the game to play with, it is always at least a solid hour of good times. Combat for the Atari 2600. I freaking love Combat for the Atari 2600. It's just 2 tanks, a maze, or 2 jets, or 2 planes, or whatever, and you just move around real slow and try to hit the other person more times than they hit you. It is so simple. It is like, it's almost as simple as Pong, but it's so much fun, especially when you get 2 people that are good at the game, or at least understand the basic mechanics of it, and just going back and forth, exchanging shots. And like, you do all this dumb shit, like you shoot somebody and they'll blow through the wall and end up on the other side of the screen or something like that. There's all these like, Contra's fantastic. Not Contra. Well, Contra is fantastic, but Combat, Atari 2600, still one of my all-time favorite multiplayer games.
You had a John Madden moment there. Your Contra is like Brett Favre.
Really, what you want to do is you want to score points, because if you score the points, you can win the game.
Thank you, Chris.
Now, Combat's dope, man. It's a hard game to play now. You know, like to go back and be like, all right, so this game's fucking slow as shit, and like there's not a lot going on, you know. But back in the day, like me and my buddy Nick had some pretty fantastic Combat matches.
And even today, like you look at it and it's like, all right, what the hell is this? And then 5 minutes into it, you're just like, God, come on, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna shoot the shit out of you, get back here. Combat's a killer, man. I love it. All right, Dan, what you got?
All right. Well, I mean, the obvious one, and we've talked about it a little bit before. Not actually a little bit, a lot of it when we did a whole wrestling episode, were the Akai or Aki N64 wrestling games. Those were just hours and hours when I should have been studying in college. You know, instead of brushing up on my philosophy, I was fucking playing digitized versions of wrestlers and all the created wrestlers that we would make in our dorm rooms or eventually in our apartment. My buddy Nick, former co-host of the Paper Cuts podcast, which you can catch every Monday here on geekade.com. He and I would always our combined created character or tag team was always Captain Sex, because we thought we were hysterical
Captain
as freshmen
Sex.
in college. Captain Sex was unbeatable. Like, we made fucking belts. We just, oh God, we went hours and hours of just putting each other through tables and hitting each other with ladders. I mean, the game just played so damn well, even if you weren't a fan of wrestling, because a lot of the guys that lived in my dorm were not wrestling fans. They were fans of video games, and those games kind of harken back to what you were saying, Chris, about the original NES sports titles just being fun games. Like it happened to be a wrestling game, but outside of that, it was just a really solid, well-made game that was a blast to play. And you got 4 people going at one time on that, you know, trying to climb a ladder to get the belt down, and you know, your buddy comes in and knocks the ladder out from you. You son of a bitch! I was so close, god damn it. So then you hit him with a chair like 600 times because you're mad at him. It's just, I mean, oh God, it was just a blast, those games.
Now,
Yeah, they really were.
you're which one specifically you're talking about? I want to make sure I got this right before. Are you talking about the WrestleMania No Mercy ones?
No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000.
Okay.
And then whatever the WCW one was that was really
like,
good.
Was it WCW versus NWO?
Yeah, World
okay.
Tour, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, WCW NWO World Tour. Was WCW NWO Revenge, was that the same thing too?
Yes. I think it's been so
Yeah,
long
I feel like
since
that
I
was
played
part of
them.
that, because they started with WCW games and then
then
they
they
moved
went
on
to
to
WWE.
WWF slash WWE, right? Because it was was it WWF No Mercy?
Yes, back then it was WWF.
And and WrestleMania 2000,
Yes.
and then it was, they had one, the last one was WWE something, I think.
It was a GameCube one that they made. Because then WWE signed with like THQ and they started making the SmackDown games, which were exclusive to PlayStation, and the WCW games at that point were like Thunder and Backstage Assault, and they were awful.
Yeah,
oh my God, they were so bad.
I mean,
So bad.
I remember getting these games when I was young, and I was like super into wrestling when I was a kid. So when I got WWF No Mercy, I got SmackDown as well because I did have both systems growing up. And like this was when they reached their high point. It was all downhill after this. There weren't many that were better than these games just because of the amount of options you had, the amount of customization that there was in the game, and the sheer amount of like just of a roster that there was in that game was big too.
Oh, they were huge.
Oh yeah, you had the unlockables and everything too in those games, which was fun.
You could unlock Fred Durst.
Yeah,
fucking Limp Bizkit up in this
Who
shit.
didn't want to beat the shit out of Mr. Chocolate Starfish?
And the hot dog flavored water.
Yeah, but I digress from that. I mean, I just remember, like, you could do a fucking Hell in the Cell. That was like mind blowing, man. Because I mean, Hell in the Cell was a serious thing way back when. Hell in the Cell didn't come along that often in the WWE when these games came out. So the fact that that was an option, and then table and ladders and chairs and stuff in SmackDown. Oh man, so many good times just going on between both games. Like I just had so much fun. I do remember having a better time with No Mercy than I did with SmackDown. But I did like SmackDown as well too. I have to give that one a special little shout out.
SmackDown was fun. Yeah. It had like that one had the full motion video entrances and shit that the N64 just couldn't pull off.
Yeah.
But you could not recreate 4 drunk college students screaming at each other at 4 o'clock in the morning that you're going to throw each other off the top of a cage.
No, you're right.
Yeah, because that was another clutch part of it right there. You said the 4-player mode, because that was the thing. Playing this mechanically brilliant wrestling game on the N64 with 4 controller ports built right in, like those were the games to play. That was what always set those aside, is that no matter what you were playing, they had the 4-player mode built right into those, and that was killer playing those 4-player. Just to clarify things here, they did WCW versus the World on PlayStation first. Then they did WCW versus NWO World Tour on N64 in '97, followed by WCW NWO Revenge, followed by WrestleMania 2000, followed by WWF No Mercy, and then everything after that was all like they did Def Jam Fight for New York.
That game
not
was
a bad
fucking
game
dope too, though.
Yeah,
not for nothing. That game's fucking fun.
I don't see any more actual wrestling games on here though.
No,
I thought there was a GameCube one that they did, or there was a GameCube.
There was a GameCube wrestling game, but I don't think it was these. It wasn't these guys. This was Aki Corporation. Then that turned into Sin Sophia, and they moved on to do stuff like, I mean, geez, they did Style Savvy for 3DS in 2015.
I mean, whoever made that GameCube game then just ripped off the engine.
Yeah.
Full stop, man.
They did a lot of the Kinnikumen, the Muscleman games. They did those games after that. That was their wrestling thing post all their WWE stuff.
I mean, even those weren't bad games. Those were pretty cool
great,
games,
man.
Yeah.
They were just mostly released in Japan because that stuff just didn't really take off here in America.
1 or 2 came out here when the anime got big on Fox Kids. I think they released a couple here.
Yeah, they released a few. I think you're thinking of Day of Reckoning.
Yeah,
that's the one.
WWF Day of Reckoning. That was developed by Ukes.
Was it?
Yeah, look at that.
Well, they fucking stole that engine.
Wholesale.
Yeah. I don't know. I remember working at Game Crazy and Lou Beaver being real excited about that shit.
They're the guys that did the original SmackDown.
Okay.
Yeah, they did SmackDown and SmackDown Shut Your Mouth and SmackDown Know Your Role and
SmackDown Dick in Your Mouth. It was coming.
So, anyway.
All right. Yeah, anyway.
But WWE, WCW wrestling games on N64, still to this day, 4-player, it's a blast, man. Absolute blast.
All right, Dean, you're up. What you got?
All right, I'm gonna come out swinging. I'm gonna start with Phantasy Star Online. Now, before anyone out there is like, "Hey, wait a second! There was no local multiplayer on that."
Game's called online.
Yeah. I am talking about the one for the GameCube and the Xbox. So that is Phantasy Star episodes 1 and 2, I believe. Phantasy Star Online episode 1 and 2 for the GameCube and the Xbox, the original Xbox. Now, for anyone that's never played Phantasy Star Online, this was like God, how the fuck do I explain it? All those like free to play multiplayer games that you see on like NC Soft and all that. Now that was what this was 10, 15 years before that was even a twinkle in anyone's fucking eye. Like, Phantasy Star had that multiplayer dungeon thing with 4 people down to a science. It was perfect. So, they originally released on the Dreamcast, and you could only play it online with people. You could play single player, but if you want to do anything online, you had to be connected to the internet, which back then was a pain in the ass, because dial-up can lick my nads. Anyway, 3 or 4 years later, maybe, the GameCube came out, Xbox came out, whoop-de-doo, they're fantastic systems, but I digress. Later on in its life, Sega released Phantasy Stars Episode 1 and 2, Phantasy Star Online Episodes 1 and 2 for the GameCube and Xbox, and what was great about this is that I didn't need, to go online to play this anymore. I had a friend down the street who liked this as much as I did, so I could be like, hey, listen, come over. Let's play some Phantasy Star Online and shoot some big-ass fish in the water or a fucking gigantic dragon that flies down or whatever the fuck we want, because we can. And it was just great. This was before World of Warcraft. I mean, it was probably getting close to the EverQuest, but I mean, I couldn't play fucking EverQuest. I didn't even know what EverQuest was because I didn't have a computer that could run it. So, yeah, this was what I could do when I was a kid, and it was great. I mean, you had the customizability, you had all the different, you had 3 different classes that were radically different from each other, and you had tons and tons of different weapons to choose from, plus you had a leveling system that was great, and some really good character progression, and a story on top of that to boot, which most massively multiplayer games don't have, and that's what I'm going to kind of classify it as, because that's what it sort of falls under, if you want to get really specific about it. But yeah, I mean, there's just so much that this game did right, and I tell you what, Sega did the smart thing. It was made more for that local multiplayer sort of mechanic, because having that story progress is a lot easier to tell when everyone's in the same room, rather than having people leveling over and over again, wanting to play online, wanting to skip stories and stuff. So I thought this was such a really cool game to have multiplayer, and I feel like it didn't get a fair chance because it came out so early on when like online was in its infancy, that this never got a fair, shake at what it could have been. But yeah, I think as far as what it did for local multiplayer, anyway, what it did for me, I thought it was a fantastic game and one of my favorites for playing local at the time.
Nice. Yeah, I've really never played a lot of this one because I was really kind of at the start of me wanting to jump into online gaming and never getting around to it, and I didn't have a lot of people around that would be interested in playing it with me when it came out on GameCube. But I mean, to Sega's defense, they did re-release this game quite a bit. I mean, they did it on Dreamcast, they did it again on Dreamcast, and they did it on GameCube, then they did it on Xbox, and they did it again on GameCube. Like, they kept pumping these games out, and to be fair, they were all very good. It just, if they were to make a newer version of this, maybe 10, 15 years ago or something, I guess it was about 10 years ago. If they were to make something like this, maybe 5 years after they did, I feel like they could have caught something. I don't know, because you're right. This game is really good at what it does, and it's a shame to have seen other games that weren't quite as good at it, or at least as interesting at it, and be more successful. But at the same token, like, I know a lot of people who really loved these games, even on the Dreamcast, pumping up that dial-up modem and making it happen. Like it's just a damn good game.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge group of people that actually petitioned to get the new one that was released, I think, solely in Japan, over here into a beta test, and even then, people didn't want to wait, so fans were building translations of the new one so that they could play it, which, I mean, that still means there's a fan base here, and it sucks that we don't get this game, because I think it was really good at what it did, and it's a shame that we don't see this specific title anymore.
I agree. All right, I'm going to jump into a few more. Let's see. Let's go a little rapid fire here. New Tetris for Nintendo 64.
Live it, love it, gotta have it.
One of my favorite versions of Tetris. This was the first 4-player version of Tetris I knew about Holy crap, played this game way too much. Really good hidden treasure. I know Nintendo kind of pumped this one up a little bit, and it did not catch on for, as far as I'm concerned, very obvious reasons. This one doesn't surprise me. Wasn't a commercial success, unlike Excitebots, which still surprised me. But Sin and Punishment Star Successor.
Oh, that was a good game.
Sin and Punishment freaking rules, and they made a sequel with a co-op mode that was damn good. The co-op mode in Star Successor is fan-friggin-tastic. That game is so ridiculously good. It's so ridiculous. It is unfathomably Japanese. But if you like rail shooters like Star Fox or Panzer Dragoon, you have got to play Sin and Punishment Star Successor. This was one of those games where, all right, motion controls in general bug me. Pointer controls, I think, are fantastic. And this game was one of those games where it was pointer controls. All pointer controls, you moved your character with the nunchuck, and then you just pointed where you wanted to aim, and this game could not have been better for it. This game controls like a goddamn dream. And if you've never played this before, it was re-released on Wii U Virtual Console. Finding the disc of the game, I know Toys R Us was blowing them out a few years ago for only $5. Like, this game is not hard to track down, and it is relatively inexpensive when you do. Find Sin and Punishment Star Successor, get a friend who is equally into shooting shit as you, and then just enjoy the ride. And watch the story, because it doesn't make any sense. It is the most Japanese, holy crap, what am I looking at story I've ever experienced in a video game. It is so insane. Have you guys played this one?
No, I've heard so many good things about it, though, and when it came out, it was just one of those games where I was like, I'll get around to playing it sooner or later. I never did, and I'm kind of kicking myself for it. I got to see how much they run. I'm gonna do that right now. But yeah, I've always heard great things about this game, and I have heard that it's very obscure, to say the least. So yeah, I mean it's on my list.
I've never played it. I know the pedigree of Sin and Punishment. I know Treasure as well, just from being one of the best developers that there ever has been, and they have certainly made some damn fine co-op games like Gunstar Heroes. This is one that, on the Wii, motion controls went, nope, I don't need to do this, and probably ended up missing out on something that I would really enjoy, because, I mean, I used to play Treasure games fucking religiously, man. I would hunt them down because of how amazing they all are. And they all are amazing. Like, Treasure doesn't make bad games.
No. Did you play the first one?
The first one that was originally supposed to be an N64 game and then got delayed for fucking however long, and eventually did come out on the 64, right?
No, it came out on Wii Virtual Console.
Virtual Console.
It came out in Japan on N64 cart, but it never came out in America until the Wii Virtual Console.
Yeah, got delayed and delayed and delayed. Yeah.
That's a damn good game too.
Yeah, so for anyone looking for this game, Amazon, brand new, sealed in box, $22. And free shipping, actually. So I'm gonna do that right now. Nice. So you can't buy the $22 one, people, because it'll be too late by the time you hear this.
All right, I threw an extra one in there, so I'm just gonna blow through two really quick. It's very similar. Everything I said about the new Tetris goes for Super Puzzle Fighter, specifically the Dreamcast version. My friends, me, Mike, Jimmy, we played this game so much. I love Super Puzzle Fighter. I love competitive puzzle games, period. Like, I love them to death. But Super Puzzle Fighter, I have such a specific history with, because I would play with these, a couple of my friends. There was Mike and Jimmy, and then there was another crew of my friends that I would play with. And I was so much better than them at that game, and they would never give up. Like, it was just this constant onslaught of them all taking turns trying to take me down, and like just screwing with the difficulty levels, putting mine through the roof and theirs down. And it was just, I would have felt bad, but we were all having so much fun. And God, that game is so much fun. It's so ridiculous. I've spoken a lot about Wario's Woods. This is one of those detonator matching puzzle games, where you can just you know, if you play something like Panel de Pon or the Puyo Pop games, where it's, you know, once you connect a certain number of colors, they explode. This game involved a detonator, so like you could match 150 red blocks in a row, and as long as they were connected, as soon as you landed a detonator on it, it would just make this massive explosion and completely just murder the person on the other side of the screen. But there was so much involved in this game, like so much planning ahead, because even the garbage that you would dump on your opponent, you would pick a fall pattern when you were choosing characters, and that would determine what colored blocks would fall down in what order and what pattern whenever garbage was dumped on your screen. So you kind of knew what was going to happen before it happened. And so even if you got like completely slaughtered, you were in a really good position if you were smart enough and quick enough to set yourself up for some absolutely kick-ass combos on the way back. And God, Super Puzzle Fighter is amazing. And I'll close out my turn.
Super Puzzle Fighter is pretty fucking excellent, man.
Yeah,
it's just
really
such a cool little the characters in it. I mean, the little chibi versions of the characters are so adorable as they're beating the shit out of each other while you're dropping your combos on people. It's fucking great game.
And not only that, but it included like Darkstalker's characters.
Yeah,
and like what a ridiculous title, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. There was no Puzzle Fighter before it. It was just like, and Street Fighter puns, and what the hell, Darkstalker's characters, just because why the hell not, right?
Why not?
Why not? All right, let me close out my turn with a killer, just an absolute killer of a game, X-Men for the arcade.
Ooh, buddy.
So good.
Local multiplayer, especially if you go to the arcade and do
On
it, does
steroids,
not
man.
get much better than this.
Oh, yeah.
If you find one of the double screen cabinets, get a whole crew of friends together, and you are the X-Men, and someone has to be Dazzler.
Yeah, Dazzler was fucking dope in that game.
Everyone was dope in that game. They had all these powers that didn't make any sense. Like Wolverine can shoot lasers out of his claws. Colossus can go, and things explode. I don't know. It was fucking X-Men. I love that game so much. I was thinking about this last night when we were when I was thinking about what games I wanted to talk about, and this game popped in my head, and I was like, you know what I haven't watched in a long time? Pride of the X-Men. Because that animated special in this game are inextricably linked. You know, they both share the same animations house and voices, and like they were based on the same world. And if you've never seen Pride of the X-Men, watch Pride of the X-Men. It is amazing, and I mean amazing in all of the wrong ways. My God, Wolverine was Australian, and God, the whole thing was so friggin' weird. But this game,
This was like, though.
Was that?
It looked so good.
Oh my God, Pride of the X-Men or this and the arcade game, they both looked incredible. The animation in Pride of the X-Men, like, it just looks fantastic, just absolutely fantastic. And this game also looks fantastic. This was one of those Konami beat 'em ups. They were doing the Ninja Turtles games. They did the Simpsons. As far as I'm concerned, this is my favorite one of all the ones that they did. I mean, obviously, Turtles in Time for Super Nintendo, the original Turtles arcade game, even and Simpsons, they're all great. But friggin' X-Men, because I mean, first off, I loved X-Men. I was such a huge X-Men fan when I was a kid, and just to be able to do all the little extra things that you could do in this game, the extra layers, like the Simpsons had the things where you could combine the two characters and do things together, but this had all the different, like it had the mutant power moves, it had the being able to kick people when they're down. Like the first time I played as Wolverine and I knocked over one of those robots, I walked over and he just starts pounding the shit out of him on the ground. I was like, holy shit, I love this game. I love it forever. And fighting the bosses, nothing moves the blob. Oh my God. This game is so, in all of the dialogue with, I am Magneto, master of magnet. Really? Master of magnet. I love it. I love it so much. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, all time. I mean, even the smaller arcade cabinets are good, but I will never forget getting a proper, 6-player game? Wolverine, Cyclops, Colossus, Nightcrawler, Dazzler, and Storm. Yeah, a proper 6-player game on the dual screen cabinet with like 5 of my friends. I will never forget the amount of fun I had getting that shit together. Because holy shit, man. This game's incredible.
It's one of the best, man. One of the absolute best multiplayer games there ever has been.
Hands down.
Oh,
Good
God, I love that game. Love that game.
All right, Dan, hit us up with your next one.
Let me clear my throat here for no apparent reason. So one of the things that that I played a lot of again in college, I did a lot of multiplayer gaming in college. Maybe that's why I had a 2.3 GPA the first fucking year.
Did a lot of meth in college.
Yeah, well, I mean there was that too. The Tony Hawk series was something that we did a lot of multiplayer on, and not maybe traditional multiplayer, but my buddy Nick and I again, and our buddy Dave, we would sit there and just play through the game, and as one person was skating around, the other person would be keeping their eyes on the screen trying to find the combo letters or looking for the secret tape. And it went back to how I used to play as a kid with, lives to levels. You would take your 2-minute run, and then we would do like our scoring competitions when it had the little tournament section. But we would sit for just hours and hours and swap that controller back and forth and compete against each other to get the best, score we could get in 2 minutes, or try and help each other out, finding all the secret shit and all the different levels. Like, oh, there's a fucking bum that I got to ollie over 5 goddamn times. Where the fuck is this bet? Son of a bitch, he's down. I see him go ollie over that son of a bitch. He had 3 seconds, fucking manual, goddamn it. Like, just yelling at each other. This fucking, I mean, had so much fun playing that game, dude. And, like I said, maybe not traditional multiplayer, but the three of us just sat and played that for hours and hours and hours. Especially, I believe it was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 was the first one that hit PlayStation 2.
That one was really good.
And, oh, God, we just played that. It was one of the only things we did. What about you guys? Did you play a lot of Tony Hawk?
I played the shit out of Tony Hawk, man. I had the original, I had the second one, and I had the third one. The one that I played the most was probably the second one, though. I believe like one of the first levels was an empty warehouse, and then I think an airport or something.
Yep.
That one was a lot of fun, and then I unlocked Spider-Man. Well, I didn't unlock Spider-Man. Put in the code to get Spider-Man, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
And that was really cool. That game was just so neat, because that's when skateboarding was really getting popular. You had the X Games and stuff, and it like everyone knew who the fuck Tony Hawk was, and just seeing something so new like that at the time, there was nothing out there like Tony Hawk before. What'd you have? What's that awesome game, Chris, that we've talked about for the NES, I think, that had a Skate or Die with an 8. With an 8,
yeah.
I believe. Yeah, that one. So
Skate or Die.
You have things like that trying to compare to Tony Hawk. While, I guess ambitious at the time, Tony Hawk is the skateboard game. Maybe not recently, but I mean, back in the day.
Of all time. You're absolutely right. The original Tony Hawk games, the first run of them before things started going off the rails, were absolutely the skating games. They mastered what it felt like to skateboard in video game fashion. And this goes back to what we were talking about with the other sports games. Like, they didn't really concentrate so much on making it absolutely realistic. They had a just amount of realism, but never at the sacrifice of fun. And that was what made those games so fantastic. Like, there was no denying the fun of picking up a controller and playing Tony Hawk. And my biggest memories of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater come from working in Funko Land and having that game, that demo, run in our unit for eons and eons. We just never take it out because people walk in and they would sit there and play that demo and leave with the game. Like, they would just play that in the store and be like, I have to buy this. I can't not have this game. I've got to have this. It was those were some of the best memories I had of the game, was just people walking in the store and playing it and talking about it. And because, I mean, yeah, Tony Hawk was a freaking revolution at the time. It just absolutely wasn't. I don't think any skating game has done for skateboarding video games what Tony Hawk has done. Like, yes, technically games like Skate, they were really, really solid skating games. Like, they weren't fun, not to me. Like, I respected them for what the hell they were doing, but when you get right down to it, I'm not looking for a skate simulator. I'm looking for a video game about a dude skateboarding. And that's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater for me. I mean, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 was probably the one that I liked the most, but I had relatively limited time with the games myself. It was really a lot of playing the game around other people. And like, I remember Tony Hawk 2 on Game Boy Advance. Remember when that happened? Like, Game Boy Advance comes out and you're just like, Tony Hawk on Game Boy Advance, really? And it's just like this top-down thing, but it looks amazing because they actually got polygons running on a Game Boy Advance to run this little skater dude that animated amazingly. Like, God, these Tony Hawk games used to be so good, so good.
I 100%
really did,
agree.
man.
Yep.
All right, Dean, you're up.
Don't sound too excited about it. Jeez. All right, Dean, you're up.
Look, the two games that you have left are both fan-freaking-tastic, so I am genuinely jazzed to talk about either one of them.
All right. Boy. Let's talk about Rampage, because, I mean, we mentioned it once or twice before, but Rampage is just one of those games where you can sit for hours with a friend,
Absolutely.
beat the shit out of buildings all you want, and it's great, you know, playing as Lizzie, George, or was it Ralph?
Lizzie, George, and Ralph were the original three. Now, you talking about the original arcade game Rampage from the 80s, or you talking about Rampage World Tour?
I've played both, but I think I'm gonna if I'm talking about what I played, it was World Tour, but I have gone back and I have gone to the arcade cabinets of the yesteryears, and
It's essentially the same game.
Yeah, no, nothing's changed. It's great.
Well, World Tour is. I mean, look, I don't want to sound like I'm not being a purist or anything like that, but I don't see how anyone can look at World Tour and say that it isn't unequivocally better than the original Rampage, because it just did what Rampage did, but it did more of it. The ability to get on top of the buildings and just start stomping on them and shit,
that's so
and
much
just
fun.
The animations and the art style were so good. That was like how you remake a classic arcade game.
Oh, certainly.
101. It was just spot the fuck on. Loved it.
Yeah, and I remember seeing the ads for it, and that's what really got me. Just I think they had all different ones, but like one of them was like there was like all sorts of buildings crumbling, and then like inside that they had little screenshots for the games, and I always thought it was cool because I was a big movie monster freak growing up. So you know, seeing like a gigantic oversized Wolfman, like huge Godzilla wannabe, and King fucking Kong, dude, I am so down for that. Oh man, I played this with my buddy for hours and hours and hours. One night he slept over, and we beat the fucking game. Like, and that took a long fucking time. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that game's a marathon. That's like beating Bubble Bobble, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was just so much fun to do. And you know, after it was done, it was like just one of those things. Him and I will never forget that, because that's an experience, man. That's just something you don't forget. Rampage is one of those games that I don't think can be replicated so easily. Like that charm and fun does not get thrown into a game as easily as one would think. And I think Rampage is just one of those classic co-op games that you have to play if you're going to be going back into stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I have some pretty specific memories of the original version too. Actually, this is one of the first arcade games I had ever seen in person, was the original Rampage. My family had gone to Starlight Campground in Pennsylvania, and they had a local arcade over there on the site, which had, in my memory, it was gigantic because I was really little. But I remember they had a hang-on machine, which was amazing. They had Punch-Out, which I had never seen the arcade version of Punch-Out before. They had the arcade version of Super Mario Brothers there, and they had Gauntlet, and they had Rampage. Gauntlet, another great multiplayer game. Didn't land on my list, but Rampage, me, my sister, and my cousin Jay would just dump quarter after quarter into Rampage, and because it was 3 players, and it was like I'd never seen a 3-player game before. It was awesome. And we would just pick George, Lizzie, and Ralph and go to town. I was always George. I liked the monkey. I always thought Ralph was the coolest, but my sister always got him before me. So played the shit of the arcade game. My sister and I saved up to get the NES version, and were like completely demolished when we took it home and Ralph wasn't in it. It's like, what? Only George and Lizzie? Like, I mean, we still played the game to death. It was still a lot of fun to play, but I always missed having Ralph in there because, like, the Master System version I think had Ralph in it, but I didn't know anybody who had the Master System version of Rampage. And I do remember seeing an Atari Lynx version that had like a fourth player that was a rat that I thought was really interesting. But
I remember
really,
that.
it was just all about George, Lizzie, and Ralph. And I was so upset that Ralph wasn't in the NES version. But fuck, man, Rampage, what a good game. What a good game. Dan, you got any thoughts on Rampage before we take a break?
I fucking loved it, man. Like, Rampage it's incredible. Like, everything you said, I get to be a giant kaiju monster and destroy buildings and eat people. I'm
what
in.
more do you need?
I'm in. Sold. I would play that game now.
Actually, the only other thing I would need is a maximum penitentiary prison. Read Kaiju Max in stores today.
Yay, Xander Cannon. And follow at Xander Cannon on Twitter. Love that guy.
Oh boy. I think that's good. I think we can get to the commercial.
Yes, let's take ourselves a quick break. And I can't type. I apologize on there for the chat. Yes, we're going to take ourselves a quick break. We're going to read a couple commercials, and when we come back, we're going to talk our last round of favorite multiplayer games. So stick around.
It's all I can do. It's very hot in my room.
Hi, Mauricio. How are you? I just tried to type "Hi Mo" and it came out Mo ! Hi.
Nice.
That'll work.
That was like 4 attempts to type that too. Let's see. It's Mauricio. Tony Hawk had the facial upload feature, which was fun. Tony Hawk Underground was my favorite. I never played Underground.
Thug was good.
Yeah, I think
it was
that
when
was
they went to Thaw that it was shit.
American Wasteland, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or the DS version, American Skateland.
Oh.
The kiddie version. No Wasteland.
Boo.
No. All right, let's read some commercials.
First up, Ring the Bell is back for Season 2. Geek Age Wrestling News Comedy Series is back from their hiatus with a brand new slate of episodes because wrestling is real. Funny. For the season premiere, JR talks Seth Rollins, the Pittsburgh Jagoffs, and Nick Angelo catches everyone up on all the news they missed on the break. Don't miss Ring the Bell. Sometimes they come back. This is a damn fine episode.
Twas indeed.
Yes, it was a triumphant return. Next, Season 2 of Into the Vault has finally arrived, and Chris has some particularly ugly things to show off for the season premiere. Yeah, he does. Do you remember the Super Mario Bros. Super Show? How about Captain N the Game Master? Or that Legend of Zelda cartoon that prominently featured the catchphrase, "Well, excuse me, princess." I feel that's really good. I did that well.
That was good.
That was about as well as they did on the show.
Yes. Whether or not you do, Chris does. So be sure to watch Into the Vault Nintendo Animation Collection on Geekade's YouTube channel.
Well done, Dean.
Spectacular as always.
Listen, I got the impression right. That's all that matters.
You did. That was truly all that matters.
Thank you.
Then, Geekade's Dave DiUrio tells the fascinating tale of a Philadelphia Eagles quarterback named Sam Bradford. His team has hired a new quarterback to replace him. The thing is, he's still there, and that's a good ways away. So it's up to Bradford to train the new guy. It kind of sends a weird message, doesn't it? To hear the rest of this story, head over to the Think Tank and read, "Congratulations, you're hired. Now I'd like you to meet your replacement."
Finally, are you looking for some nice, relaxing music that's perfect for city planning? Of course you are. Who wouldn't be? Thankfully, Chris and Vicky have you covered with an all-new episode of the Wave Back podcast about the Super NES classic Sim City. You have never, and I mean this honestly, never zoned a commercial area until you've done it to the chill sounds of Soyo Oka. Be sure to listen to Wave Back episode 25, Sim City.
You can catch all this great stuff. So last night we were reading this same commercial on this week's episode, and Evan was reading it. And
did he read the L?
I had a typo with an L between episode 25 and Sim City, and it was El Sim City. Be sure to watch Wave Back, El Sim City.
Thanks, Strong Bad. Back to you, the cheat.
Oh, wow. The ugly one. Cheerleader.
You can
That's
catch
right.
all this great stuff, plus tons of other articles, videos, podcasts, and more right now at geekade.com.
Homestarrunner.com.
We're
Yes.
funny because we rip off 15-year-old Flash websites.
Downloads.
Download.
Tunes.
Dear
God.
Strongbad. Oh, God damn it. It's so funny. Teen
Such
Girl
good
Squad is my shit.
This shit still holds up, man.
Oh, it does.
Oh, it's still
Absolutely.
hysterical. Absolutely hysterical.
All right, everybody good?
Yeah, man, let's
Yep.
do it.
Who is doing this dumb super yellow, super green writing speaker? Yeah, oh, I can't read.
Speaker Ender 2135. Hello! And hello, Arcapic!
Hi.
Oh,
Yeah.
Arcapix Mauricio. Sorry, I missed
Yeah.
that one. But
Arcapix
Speaker
Mauricio.
Ender 2135. Hello! I like
Yes,
I like
indeed.
like
Oh,
that.
see, now I click on it, I can read it. Yeah, it's in fluorescent green. It's on my screen. It's in fluorescent green on gray, so I can't even pretend to be able to read that.
Everybody's here for the Puzzle and Dragons chat.
Dude, tomorrow
yeah.
it's fucking happening, man.
I know.
Shit's going down.
What, did they release a Puzzle and Dragons comic?
Oh, dude, Player's Choice Godfest is tomorrow. Well, it's been on, but let's not get started about that. That'll be a whole nother thing. So let's go with what we're gonna do.
We've got somebody who knows strong bad on here on the side. Speaker Ender 2135 appreciating your strong batting on the side there.
Nice.
And we are back. We just spent a decent amount of time talking about Homestar Runner. If you're unfamiliar, get familiar. But we're going to finish off with our last round of favorite local multiplayer games. So I'm going to run down my quick gamut here. Of these are three of what I would think some of the least played multiplayer local games on the ones that I've mentioned, but seriously, some of my all-time favorites. I'm going to start with Super Spike V-Ball for NES, which is a volleyball game, again with the sports games. It's really simplistic. It uses the NES 4-score or satellite for 4-player game, and it is so much fun to play this game 4 players. I show this off to anybody and everybody whenever I get a group of people and an NES with a 4-score around. I'm like, yo, let's play some Super Spike V-Ball. This game is friggin' great. It's got a killer soundtrack. It's got like ludicrous 90s beach vibe to it. You know, like everything's fluorescent and whatnot.
It's
but
Top Gun.
It's Top Gun. Yeah,
Okay, good.
It's very Top Gun. But it's very much not Top Gun for NES.
True, very true.
Which is not no. The second one was multiplayer. First one was not. But anyway, Super Spike V-Ball. It's just like it's such a freaking good volleyball game. It's very simplistic. You can do all the the sets and the spikes and whatnot. It controls tight as a drum, and it is so good. They made a Game Boy Advance version of that game. Sorry, in the chat, I don't remember that. I remember the Game Boy Advance version of Super Dodgeball, which was freaking outstanding, but I didn't remember the Super Spike V-Ball. I'm gonna have to look into.
I will let you know in a moment. Keep talking though.
All right, well, will do. So yeah, Super Spike V-Ball, friggin-tastic multiplayer game. Absolutely love it to death. Either of you guys played this one before?
I have
Oh,
not,
of course,
but
man.
they look incredibly jacked, and I want to rub
Yeah,
oil all
they're
over them.
jacked.
Dude, that they need some oil. I'm gonna be the oil guy, man. I'm doing it. I'm getting in there.
Good plan.
Super Spike V-Ball, man, was it. You know, again, like you said, those old NES sports games. The same guys who made this made Super Dodgeball too.
Mhm.
I mean, ridiculous and over the top, and the manliest of volleyball games I think that there ever has been. But just a damn fun game, man.
Yeah, they were big and friggin' burly. All right, next one up. Another one of my all-time favorite multiplayer games. Me and my friends used to play this to death. I'm talking Toy Commander for the Dreamcast.
That's a pretty dope game, man. You actually, I think, I think I messaged you at a convention. I was like, "Should I get Toy Commander?" And you were like,
Yes.
"Yes,
And you
yes."
picked me up a copy of Slave Zero for Dreamcast.
Yes.
I was like, yes, you should totally get Toy Commander because Toy Commander is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Single player mode is great. Single player mode's a good time, but man, oh man, when you get some people together to do multiplayer, 4-player split screen multiplayer Toy Commander is freaking killer. It's just like, you pick these big rooms in a house and you can choose whatever kind of vehicle you want to be. So like you could be a jet versus a helicopter versus a tank versus a truck. And like you all have different attributes and abilities, and it's just, damn, that game was so much fun. It was just simple deathmatch type of stuff, but it was like everything I ever wanted multiplayer Star Fox to be, except it was that. It wasn't crappy like multiplayer Star Fox, which I've never really enjoyed multiplayer Star Fox. I know people liked Star Fox 64, but man, Toy Commander just nailed that kind of gameplay in multiplayer mode. It is still one of my favorite go-tos for obscure multiplayer gaming that everyone always has fun with.
I've never played it.
That's a damn shame. That's a Dan shame.
Ooh.
Ooh.
That's a damn.
That's what I've heard. I've heard of this game. I know it's something that I probably should have played at some point, but just never got around to it.
Well, one of these days, Dreamcast, get one of those Stone Age Gamer Dreamcast things where you get the ISOs all in there and
There you go.
play all your Dreamcast games. Play some Toy Commander. It's well worth the effort. Last one, I think is one of the most criminally overlooked multiplayer games of all time, and it is one of the best multiplayer games I've ever played. Strictly 2-player. I think it was strictly 2-player. Yeah, it must have just been 2-player. And it is the multiplayer game in New Super Mario Brothers for the DS, the original New Super Mario Brothers. Now, you had a couple of different multiplayer things that you could do in that game. You had the friggin' mini game collection, which was pretty fun. It's just your standard shit like playing card games against each other. But the versus mode in New Super Mario Brothers, I cannot believe they have never done this again. Like, they've never put this mode in any of the 30 other New Super Mario Brothers games that came out. And the fact that they didn't do that for especially the console ones absolutely kills me. So you basically had, it was a race to get 10 stars. And the stars were hidden in these levels, and the levels looped. Like, they just kept, repeating themselves like an old Hanna-Barbera cartoon. You make it to the one on the screen, and you just come out on the other. But it was like they would scroll for a good long while. And if you ever played Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters for Game Boy, it's kind of like that, where it really is only a finite amount of space, but it looks like it's just looping on and on forever. And actually, you know what? Think the racing mode in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 or something like that. So basically, you have this kind of a stage, and there are 10 stars hidden throughout the stage. No, they're not hidden. They show up. That's it. Okay. It's been way too long since I played this. So one character's Mario, the other character's Luigi, and you're just running around in this stage, and you can bounce off of each other and hit each other the same way that you can if you're playing like a modern New Super Mario Brothers game where it's impossible to play co-op because characters inhabit the same space and you're constantly bouncing into one another and you can hurt one another. But on the map screen, on the bottom screen, you'll see where a star shows up, and the first person to collect 10 stars wins. And the thing is that like somebody gets a star, if you jump on top of their head, they lose a star. And then you have to like chase each other to try to get those stars. We used to play this at my Game Crazy for hours, and these matches got brutal as hell because it is a really simple concept and it works so unfathomably well. And I know so few people who have ever tried it. Everybody got New Super Mario Brothers on DS. Like, that game was a multi-million seller. It was such a popular game. But that multiplayer mode was absolutely it for me. And I cannot believe, of all the things that they've repeated in New Super Mario Brothers games, they have never repeated that mode. Because that mode is sick beyond belief. It is the best multiplayer Mario experience I have ever had. Like, nothing has come close to that.
Is it better than Catch the Asshole? Which I know is not the official name.
I love Catch the Asshole. I
Mario
love
Chase or whatever the hell it's
Mario
called on the
Chase.
Wii U.
Oh shit!
But Catch the Asshole.
Yeah, Catch the Asshole is fantastic. I like this even more than that because it's more violent. Because it's like, eventually you're going to run out of time when you're playing Catch the Asshole. And, and then the thing's over. In this one, it's just like, you've got to get to that 10 stars. And you could have somebody up to 9 stars, and the 10th one is on the way, and then the other person gets a Starman, and they're invincible, and they just fuck your day up, and you're dropping stars left and right, and it just totally turns the tides in an instant, but never in like that Mario Party. Now all of a sudden, the winner is the loser for random reasons. Like
I hate Mario Party so much.
such a great game of skill. It is so good. It is one of my absolute all-time favorite multiplayer games. If you have it and you've never played this before, find 2 people with a DS or a 3DS. It can't be that hard, and a copy of this game, and give this multiplayer mode a try. It is brutal. It is absolutely brutal. Quick shout out to Kirby's Dream Course. I can't talk about it. I've spent too much time talking, but that's another fantastic multiplayer game. Never played Kirby's Dream Course? Get a friend and do it.
Chris, put your hair down. You let it out of the holster. It's up in there now.
Oh shit! Sorry.
I know. I'm doing it for your benefit.
That I'm on camera. Like, people are looking at me. I forget that.
Well, no, you had a little bit of Christopher Lloyd, Dr. Brown going on. I just.
Oh, he was excited.
He was.
I was feeling the burn.
Of course you were. Actually, that good one. Close, very close.
Vote Bernie, New Jersey primaries next Tuesday.
That's
Thank
right.
you,
he endorsed his new Super Mario Bros. Multiplayer. I'm sure of it.
Of course he does. Speaking of politics, Dan, do you wanna give us your game?
Yes,
Yeah, close us
NHL
out,
94.
Well, close you
NHL
out.
94.
Fuck yeah,
goddamn.
NHL 94.
On the Sega Genesis, sending motherfuckers off the ice to the hospital, like just checking the shit out of people. Again, just one of those games, just hours and hours over the school year and summer. Over at my buddy Nick Louie's house, we would sit in his basement and play really nothing other. Like, we would pop in Streets of Rage every now and again and be like, oh, this is pretty dope. Let's play some more NHL 94. It's for my money a touch better than Blades of Steel. Just because I like the verticality of playing hockey as opposed to the horizontal play.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But god damn it, I mean, the game plays absolutely as perfectly as I want a hockey game to play. I don't want to do all fancy stick moves. I don't want to do a bunch of bullshit with it. I just want to play a fun hockey game. And for my money, there's nothing more fun than NHL 94. It's simple. 3 buttons. Come on.
I had the Super Nintendo version of this because I didn't have a Genesis back when this was out, and I really like that one too. It's good. It's better on Genesis, which is not something you'll hear me say a lot.
No,
but it is.
But that's true.
Definitely better on Genesis, but it was still, like everyone says, NHL 94 for Sega Genesis, but like I feel bad for the Super Nintendo version because it was really good, and it just gets completely swept under the rug because the Genesis version. But yeah, the Genesis one is superior, but no matter how you played NHL 94 was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I wasn't even a hockey fan, man. That just hit me. Well, I mean, I was a little bit of a hockey fan, but not, enough to go out and buy a video game. But I remember on a whim, my mom got this for me, and I played it. And when I was younger, I couldn't tell the difference of between the games and stuff. But when I played this, I just knew it was better than all the other ones. Didn't know how, didn't know why, because Kitty Brain couldn't process it. I just knew it was better from playing it, and I had a great time playing that one.
Damn fine.
There's really nothing better, man. Shit. And this is not something you will hear me say often on the air, but fucking emulate this game if you have to. It is that much fun.
Stone Age Gamer does not. Yeah, they don't condone that. So
no.
So don't do that. But do
no,
it.
Don't do that. But I'm not going to say the word.
However you need
but
to.
It rhymes with smishmortion. So go get a smishmortion. Sorry, I just watched fucking Knocked Up. Nothing. Nobody. Okay.
That's a good movie.
I
actually don't have this game for Genesis. I have
Really?
NHL Hockey, NHL PA 93, and NHL 96 on Genesis.
I think I have this game. And do not own a
Super
Genesis
Nintendo version?
on which to play it.
I have the Super Nintendo version still.
Didn't
Yeah.
come with one of those
fair.
like big ass cartridges too.
Yeah, with the
Yeah,
little
the
yellow
EA
tab
Sports,
on the
all the
side.
EA
Yeah.
cartridges were larger in size.
They wanted to
Freaking
feel
General
superior.
Chaos, another great multiplayer game, General Chaos.
There you
Shit,
go.
I haven't played that game in forever. Damn. Okay, Dean, take us home.
I saved the best one for last. A behemoth of co-op games. If you get my drift, if anyone.
I do.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm talking about Castle Crashers. Damn. When this game came out, like, I think Behemoth only had one other game out at the time, and that was Alien Hominid.
Yeah, Alien Hominid. Damn good.
That's a damn good game.
That was a cool game, and that was co-op. But this took the co-op to a whole new level. You had this crazy, simplistic story. Princess gets kidnapped. You go to get her. Great.
It's princess or princesses, right?
True, yes, because each one had a princess, and there was a redhead, and I always wanted to get her because she looked a little nicer. Got to think for redheads, can't help it. Anyway, what was cool about this game is it took all the beat 'em up stuff and then amped it up to another level. You had a fantastic leveling system. You were able to get, I think, spells and stuff. All the characters did different things, which was really cool. The bosses were over the top. I mean, the game was pretty much, was it rated M?
Castle Crashers?
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of blood in this.
I think it was teen.
Teen? All right, it could be teen.
I'll look it up.
Anyway, it was bloody. It was crazy. It was a fun time, and I did love it a lot. It came out in 2008. I think I played it for probably about 2 years. I played it till about 2010, just with different people and stuff. Also, it was cool when it was on Xbox Live. You could play it online with people. Fuck, man, that's awesome. I know that doesn't have anything to do with local multiplayer, but as far as multiplayer goes and beat 'em ups, that was the next gen beat 'em up. But the cool part was they didn't take away the local multiplayer. You could always come over to the house, chill with me, and save some princesses. And then the best part was put in a little bit of that God, what the fuck, Double Dragon, where you could beat the shit out of each other at the end to get the girls. I think that was Double Dragon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see? So yeah, you know, it was cool. You could be a douchebag, kill your friend, and then get both girls because you want to be a pimp. Do I need to say anything else about this? It's a fucking good game. Play Castle Crashers.
It's a fucking great game. You know, I used to always have a pain. I love playing this game. This is one of the few games that my wife actually played with me. But I had a problem with this game's multiplayer because you had to like have different live accounts on your Xbox to sign in with to play the local multiplayer. It was a freaking pain in the ass. But once you had that all working and functional, it was totally doable. And yeah, this game is great. This was kind of like the resurgence of the beat 'em up game. You know, it was way too much fun. Why can't I find an ESRB rating for this freaking game?
Yeah, actually, that was my problem. You know what? It might not have one the way we're thinking of it because there was online interaction. Normally, that meant it was bumped straight into like a like different brackets. I think when you had online play back then, I could be wrong, but you know, it is what it is, right? We'll go with teen, right? I mean, that's
It was
not bad.
teen. Yep,
Okay.
it was rated T for teen. Found it on the ESRB website, as a matter of fact.
There you go.
There you go.
Thank you,
Huzzah.
ESRB,
Blood and
for
gore,
being
cartoon
informational.
violence, and crude humor. Huzzah. Yeah, dude. This was one of the few games that my wife would actually play with me, and we just had a blast with it because it's such a simple concept of the beat 'em up. You know, you move, press button, and attack. But it introduced all the leveling up elements and the special magic moves depending on which characters you were, and it looked so good. It just had that great, like, I mean, essentially flash animation, but Jesus Christ, this game, the art direction is so awesome. Like the stage where you're running through the woods and all the animals are shitting
Oh,
themselves.
that's fucking awesome.
It's so good. It's so good. Geez, Alien Hominid really was such an awesome game. So I was willing to follow these guys wherever they went, and when they went here, I couldn't have possibly been happier. It's Castle Crashers is absolute top notch, killer game.
It is what they say as the tits. The tits.
Both of them.
Yeah, both. Not just one, both. Growl. Someone is growling. Thank you, Roxas the Dreamer, for growling. But, yeah, I think, oh, am I the last one? Is that it?
Yeah, that was it, man.
Oh, wow.
Well,
wow.
we haven't mentioned Puzzle and Dragons yet, and Ferg from the Atari Game by Game podcast gave us a really nice shout out on his latest episode and said that we mention it every episode. So here is your obligatory Puzzle and Dragons mention.
Wait.
It's got co-op in it. Dean and I play.
Oh yeah, dude, it does. Yeah, we
It's not
played a few
local.
times. You're right. It's not
But-
local, but I mean, we could be in the same room, so then it is local.
We could be. We will be at Too Many Games.
We're gonna have to get it on. We're gonna have to get on some crazy co-op multiplayer fucking Puzzles and Dragons that just Ferg play because we need to get him in on that.
We should get Ferg to play. Got to use those new El Calis.
Oh God. Okay. All right. We'll stop. We'll stop.
All right.
We're sorry.
Dan, did you have anything to say about Castle Crashers before we call it a night?
Yeah, I've never played it, so
What?
yeah, never played Castle Crashers. Know
How
that I
would-
should.
You must own it at this point, right? It
I
had
think
to
I
have been
own it on
PS Plus
something.
at some point.
I think so. I just never got around to it. I'm an adult. I have responsibilities.
Dan, you can't use
that's
that
my
one
excuse.
forever. Yeah, you know you
No,
can't
I
use
know.
it forever.
No, I know it's one of those ones that I know I should have played. I just never got around to it, man. And like everything I've ever seen about it, I'm like, that's a game I would fucking love. And then I just don't do it. I don't know. I have no
you
excuse.
should really do it. It will make you smile. It will. It is guaranteed to make you a happy Dan.
We do
Absolute
love that.
guarantee. Okay, Roxas the Dreamer, Impression the Last Guardian, E. I saw that there was new video of The Last Guardian, but I didn't actually wind up watching it because of reasons. I don't know. Did you guys watch the new footage of Last Guardian?
Is that Dogbird?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Dogbird, man. I'm excited for Dogbird whenever it feels like coming out.
I cannot wait to experience this game. And I use the word experience on purpose because just like Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, these aren't games that you really play. These are games that you feel your way
Yeah.
through,
Oh,
which
100%,
sounds
yeah.
so fucking corny. But
Oh, you're right, man.
You're
But I
not
mean,
wrong.
it-
That's the kind of games that they make. They're fantastic.
there is nothing quite like a Team Ico game. And for this to actually be coming out, for this to be a real thing, I mean, I think I jokingly made it a prediction on our last E3 show of like, man, The Last Guardian's going to be there. And son of a bitch, it was. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't be happier that this game is coming out. I will continue to wait with bated breath until there is an actual physical copy of it in my hands. You know, because 10 years into the development cycle on this game, I suppose anything could still happen. But goddamn, this game looks stunningly gorgeous. And it looks
I
to
didn't
have
watch-
all, it looks to have all the emotion and nuance and subtlety that Ico and Shadow of the Colossus had as well.
Most definitely.
I didn't watch the new footage because it's like me watching another trailer for. It's like me watching the trailer for the new Zelda game. Like, I'm already sold.
Yeah, you don't have to convince me. And at this
Yeah,
point, I
yeah.
kind of don't want to see much more.
Yeah, same here. I saw what I saw at E3 and I'm good. And you're right, it's no Duke Nukem Forever, but then again, what is?
It's very similar to how I felt about Shadow of the Colossus, though. I saw that first boss fight and was like, yeah, this is going to be everything I've ever wanted in a video game. And then I never wanted to see anything else about it. I
Yeah.
wanted to be surprised by it. I wanted it to happen organically, to be a hipster here for a second, you know, but I wanted a truly organic experience going into that game. And after this latest footage of The Last Guardian, that's probably going to be the last thing I watch of it.
Yeah, I'm not even going to watch that because I don't have a PS4, so I don't want to torture myself.
You can come over to my house and play it. It's fine.
Anytime.
We'll set up the remote play on your Mac. I don't know if it'll reach down to the shore, but we'll try.
Give it a shot, man. You never know.
That's right. You never know. All right, everyone, that's our show. Once again, thank you, everybody, for watching us on Twitch. You can get in touch with us at mail@geekade.com, as well as all flavors of social media that we inhabit. You can like us on Facebook, find us on Instagram at Geekade, subscribe to our YouTube and Twitch channels for all our latest video content, and follow us on Twitter at _Geekade. You can also get in touch with us individually on Twitter. I'm at Geekade Chris. That's Geekade KRIS. Dan is at
Geekade Dan.
Dean is at.
Kimono _ Vest Lord.
If you're interested in more information about any of the games we discussed tonight, be sure to check out our show notes. And while you're at it, you can also subscribe in our show notes as well. Again, always remember to keep your eyes on geekade.com, where we post something new every single day. We'll be back again right here in 1 week. Thank you very much for listening and or watching. And on behalf of myself, Dan, and Dean, keep playing games. That's a wrap.
That's the end of the show. Twitch, remember.
We'll be back again right here in 1 week. Thank you very much for listening and or watching. And on behalf of myself, Dan, and Dean, keep playing games. That's a wrap.
That's the end of the show. Twitch, remember, guys, we appreciate you watching, and we would appreciate it if you guys give us a follow right here on Twitch. It makes things easier, and we give you a heads up when we're going live all the time.
That's true.
Whenever we hit that button, you'll know immediately. So if you're not already doing that, remember to hit the button. We do giveaways sometimes. We actually just finished one up. So, yeah, you'll be entered in for those too. So, yeah.
Dean said doo-doo.
I did say doo-doo. So, doo-doo the thing, and give us a follow if you're not already doing that. Until next time, guys, say the thing, Chris.
What's the thing?
Keep playing games. God damn it.
Oh, I said that already.
Yeah, but I'm saying it to Twitch now. Fuck.
Twitch, keep playing games.
There you go. Now I can hit stop.